My name is Heath Haley from East Texas Duct Tape, and this series is going to be about cast iron cooking. Whether you're intimidated to get in the kitchen and start using cast iron, or maybe you've been thinking about it for a while, or you just started out. Either one of these options, I've got 4 courses that we're going to go over to help you have the confidence that you need to get in the kitchen and start using that cast iron. Stay tuned for more. The first one we're going to cover is the cast iron basics. So back in around 1707, an Englishman by the name of Abraham Darby, he changed everything. He started using sand molds, so that way you can conventionally, make cast iron more affordable to America. Or actually not just to America, just in general. So then, as you move forward, and I'm not going to go into too much history, the main message is that cast iron's been around for a long time. And then you get into the 18th century and you get into Griswold and Wagner pans, and maybe down the road we can dive deeper into history and really go into cast iron's history. So with this right here, this pan that I have is my favorite pan, is a Wagner. It's really cool. My coworker gave it to me, and I've really enjoyed cooking on it. And so basically, people ask, why cast iron? Why should I use cast iron over like a stainless pan or a non-stick pan? Well, one of the best things that I enjoy about using cast iron is that it retains the heat. So when you heat a pan on a stove, and maybe it's a little off alignment or whatnot, the heat is going to transfer to that pan evenly. So your dishes are going to get crisp around the edges and things like that. And it makes for just really good cooking of all kinds of different dishes. And the other thing is the durability. I mean, with cast iron, this will outlast me, and it could outlast you. I mean, cast iron, some people, and I'd like to hear your comments below. Maybe you have a grandparent who gave you a pan, or there's a pan that's in your home or in your family that has been passed down generation after generation. And I think that is really cool, because you don't see that with a Teflon pan or a non-stick pan that most of those pans you can't even put in an oven. So that goes back to the durability of cast iron. You can cook it on your stove on an open fire. You can cook it indoors, you can cook it outdoors, and then obviously there's maintenance behind all that. And we're going to get into that in a later course. But anyway, I just wanted to give you a brief intro of why cast iron. And so the first thing that you need to decide is what kind of pan do you want to start out with. And I have another pan that's bigger than any 3 of these that I started out with, and I noticed it was pretty hard to maneuver, and I want to say it was about a 14-inch pan. And I had a hard time in the beginning of cast iron because I burned myself a few times on that pan, because I was trying to hold it up and then it slid, and I sizzled my hand, and I was supposed to not do that. So anyway, so I found that about a 10.5-inch pan, this size right here, is perfect for beginners. You can do a lot with that. And so before I landed on this 10-inch size pan, my bigger 14-inch pan, I tell my mom, and I love you, Mom, don't get upset if you watch this. And I said, hey Mom, I need a smaller pan because that one's just too big. And look at what she gets me. This little baby right here. Isn't she cute? She's so cute. Little baby pan. Now, like I said, when you're starting out with your first pan, that's going to be way too small. That's more like, when you go to a restaurant and they do that Pizookie cookie thing, you know what I mean? Like that's a perfect, like one person, like a pot pie for one person. That'd be a good size for that. And then you have, this is a new pan that I just got. It's a new old, isn't she a beauty? Again, my coworker, Joanne, she gave me this Dutch oven because I needed this size for doing beans and things like that. So anyway, we'll get into that restoration another time. That's not going to be in this course, but I just wanted to show you, if you didn't want to start with a pan and you wanted to start with the Dutch oven, you could do that. And you can find a lot of good deals, like at a farmer's market or maybe a flea market or even a resale shop. So you don't have to buy new. In fact, I encourage you not, because some of these new pans, they're not smooth. Like this Wagner pan, she's smooth. It's smooth to the touch, and the smoother the pan is, the more that seasoning is going to stick into it. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this course. And again, please comment below if you have questions, and I'll get back to you, because I think we all can learn. This is course number 2, and this is what cast iron seasoning really means. So I think there's a common misnomer for seasoning your cast iron. You're not sprinkling it. It's not talking about salt and pepper and, you know, whatever hot sauce. That's not what seasoning means. Seasoning is polymerization. Okay, so essentially what happens is as over time, as the oil heats up, it adheres to that pan, and it's going to give it a non-stick surface. It's going to bond to the cast iron, and so it's going to be a protective layer that is enhancing anything you put in this dish. Another thing that people don't understand about cast iron seasoning is, and we'll get into this in a later course about what you cook on it, because there are some things that you can cook on a cast iron that you can kind of taste those flavors, and you may want to have a separate pan to do certain dishes. So back to the seasoning. So seasoning is crucial to your pan. Make it non-stick. It's going to give you that rust protection, because, you know, like on this, you can see, you know, the rust on this Dutch oven that I just got. And like I said, the great thing about cast iron is you can make an old rusty pan like that shine and be brand new. And I'm going to put a link in this course right now of a restoration video I did actually on this 10-inch pan, and I feel like it really went well. However, there are a few things, little details, if you really want to grind down, you know, some of the outside things, and I'm eventually going to do that. But just want to encourage you to just have confidence in yourself. You want to do cast iron cooking, and don't be afraid of it. That's the great thing about cast iron. And when you're seasoning your pan, it's forgiving. I mean, you can mess up 4 or 5 times, and you can get it back down to the original shine, and you can start over, and you can find whatever recipe that you like that will enhance your. The other thing about cast iron seasoning is you'll notice as it ages and the more you use that pan, everything tastes better. It's kind of like a fine wine. As it's aged in the barrel and it soaks in all those flavors, anything you cook on it is just 10 times better. And so that's why I encourage you to get into cast iron. Don't be intimidated. I mean, it's a pan, and yeah, it might be a little unique from anything that you're used to. You might be used to those Teflon pans or maybe a ceramic pan, and that's what you're used to cooking with. But if you notice that when you're cooking on those ceramic pans and you turn the heat off, it doesn't take it long to cool off. So with cast iron, it retains that heat, which is why that seasoning is so paramount. It's so important to the health and the life of your pan. And not only that, more importantly than the life of your pan and the flavor, again, it's that rust protection. It's protecting it from the elements. And when you store it in a dry and cool place, and again, we'll get into that a little bit later, but you definitely are going to want to keep this seasoned, and you don't want to stack things on top of it. So that's why you want to protect that seasoning. And so thank you for watching this course, and now we're on to the next course. So thank you for watching so far. Now we're going to be into the third course, which is going to be how to restore and maintain your pan. So one of the first things that you need to do is you need to decide how bad the rust is on your pan. And so for this particular Dutch oven, you can kind of see that it's got some crusties on the outside. This might take a little more work than your traditional pan that has a little bit of outside rust on it. And kind of like the pan that I got from Joanne, it just needed a little bit of love. So I was able to do a hot water bath, you know, and the way you do that, to me, it's the easiest and the most efficient way to clean a cast iron pan. So what you're going to do is you're going to get the water piping hot, and I mean so hot, you know, it'll almost burn you. You want it very, very hot, and you want to soak that pan in the water. Again, this is used before you're seasoning it. Okay, this isn't like regular maintenance and all that. This is just because you've got the pan, it has a little bit of rust on it, or like I said in an earlier course, that you may have found it at a flea market or at a garage sale, something like that, and you want to turn that pan into like new. So you're going to have that water bath going, and it's soaking piping hot. And you know, some people say 30 minutes, but what I like to do, or what I did on this particular pan, is I let it soak for about 2.5 hours in just hot water. That's it. I didn't do anything fancy. I didn't add any chemicals. I just let the hot water start breaking down all that rust. And so after the water cooled down, The next step that I did is I took a wool brush, well, not a wool brush, but it's like a little pack. I'll see if I can find a link that I can drop below of what I used. It's just real basic. I mean, it's just like the handheld wool, but it's like actual steel wool. It's not like the steel wool kitchen scrubbers. So it's actual steel wool. So anyway, so I put a little bit of elbow grease. You know, you have to put in a little bit of work to get that big reward. And so I put in all that elbow grease into there, and I got most all the rust free of debris and all that, and started getting the pan to look, you know, almost like new. So then after that, the next step that I like to do is I made a baking soda slurry. So basically what you do is you pour some baking soda. I mean, there's no science, you know, no actual mathematic number that I used. It's just you essentially want to get it to a paste, you know, so it's kind of goopy. And then I took a paper towel, and then I just started kind of letting, you know, scrubbing the pan. That way it's soaked in to the pan. And so I scrubbed everywhere I possibly could on the pan. And then after all that, turn the water on, got it piping hot again. And so then you get it piping hot, and that water's just, it's stinging so hot. So then you rinse off the pan, and then after you rinse it off, you just look for any crusties or anything in there. And then now we're gonna work on the seasoning. So if you get the pan down, you don't see any visible rust, that's where you get into it. And so after you do all the water bath and you have it all cleaned off and dry, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna coat it with some oil. And the oil that I used is canola oil. I mean, some people use flaxseed oil, grapeseed oil, some of these high-end, high smoke point oils. But I mean, let's be honest, the way the economy is these days, I mean, I'm not gonna spend $8,000 on a thing of flaxseed oil, and so canola oil will do just fine. And so that's what I used, and it's got a nice high smoke point. It's not the healthiest oil, obviously, but again, we're just trying to season this pan. I'm not gonna be licking the oil off the pan. So meanwhile, behind the scenes, you wanna have that oven set to 450 degrees at least. Some people like to do 500, but personally, I'm a fan of 450. I just think it does the job. And so you've got that oven at 450 degrees, and so you applied your seasoning, right, which is your first layer of oil before that polymerization happens, right? You remember that? Course number 2, polymerization. Okay. Hope you're listening. There'll be a test at the end. I'm just kidding. So anyway, after all that, I had it preheating the oven, and the one thing is I'm going to show you a clip where I actually put like a metal pan underneath my cast iron. But you want ideally, you know, you put your cast iron pan upside down. That's how I did mine. But I should have put the metal pan on the next rack below, because if you can see this video, you can see all the stain. My wife was not happy with me for ruining that pan on the bottom, so I'm going to end up having to get another one because I was being a little, I wasn't thinking too good, I'll just say that. And so anyway, so don't do what I did. You can even put foil on the next rack. The idea is you just want to get any oil drippings to drip on that surface and not on the bottom of your oven. And so you're going to put it in there, and I did mine for around 55 minutes to an hour. Some people, you know, have their own method, and that's a beautiful thing about cast iron. There is no guideline that is truly you have to follow it or else. You got to find what's right for you, and once you start getting comfortable cooking with cast iron and kind of know what signs to look out for after you season it. And one of the biggest things that you'll notice is if your pan's got kind of a sticky feel to it after a while, that just means you need to reseason it. And so that's what I wanted to let you know today is that it's okay. If your pan gets sticky, don't worry about it. Just, you know, do what I said, you know, just let's scrub it down, get all that off, and let's start over, start fresh. And so another little tip that I'll give you about reseasoning is I would encourage you to do this on a day when no one's home, because it does smoke up the house quite a bit from the oil once it hits that smoke point. So I would plan on doing this when nobody's around and you can crack a window open, or if you have like a gas grill and you want to do it outside, or one of those the pellet grills, you know, that would probably be a little more ideal if you have family members that might be a little sensitive to the the fumes and things of that nature. So anyway, this concludes course number 3, and we'll meet you on the next course. And again, comment if you have any questions, or if you have anything that you might want to recommend to anyone who's watching a video like this. So thank you, and we'll see you at the next course. All right, well, welcome back for our final Cast Iron Classic 101 course. And in this course, we're going to talk about cooking basics. So now, after we've found our pan, we bought our pan, and then we learned the basics about our pan, and we know how to restore it. Now we're going to go, and we know how to maintain it. And actually, we're going to go into the maintaining a little bit here now, along with how to cook basic things on your cast iron. So the basic principle that you need to adjust if you're used to using a Teflon pan or a ceramic pan, something like that, you're used to cranking that heat on high. You definitely don't want to do that with cast iron. You want to kind of let her warm up, because the difference in this pan and a Teflon pan is that it's gonna, all that heat is just gonna be in every pore of this skillet. So it's gonna be pretty consistent in heat and temperature throughout this entire pan. So one thing you need to keep in mind is when you are, and I should have mentioned this in my seasoning videos, you definitely want to have a pot holder. It'll only take you one time to get a nice singe on your hand, and you definitely will not do that again. And I've even seen in stories and heard people stop cooking cast iron just for the simple safety things of not keeping in mind that this pan's hot. So if you have little ones around, definitely want to throw that little pro tip out there. You need to educate everyone in your house when you start cooking on cast iron that it is hot, and that they can seriously get burned. So they need to learn, and again, it'll only take one time and it'll never happen again. But I don't want that to happen to you or a family member of yours. So anyway, back into our cooking basics. So the great thing is about cast iron, there's almost any dish that you can cook in here. It's not off limits. There are some things that I would avoid cooking until your pan is very well seasoned. And I'm talking, I would say a good 5 to 6 months at least of regular cooking where that seasoning's, you're not going to break that seasoning unless it's something absolutely crazy. So you want to, like I said, you want to use low heat and then bring the temperature up to about a medium heat, because it's going to be so hot. You'll be surprised how much lower heat on a cast iron, how you can cook so much better on. So things you want to start out with, some basic dishes that after you re-season your pan, some things I would cook first is I would throw some bacon in there. Oh man, bacon and cast iron, or sausage patties or sausage, anything that's going to render some fat into that pan, that's going to be ideal to start out when you're cooking on that pan the first time. I would avoid cooking eggs, things like that in the beginning until that seasoning's built a good layer on there. I know some people say that you could cook eggs right out of the gate, and I personally wouldn't do that, especially if you're still learning how to cast iron cook, or cook on cast iron rather, because you might get a little discouraged because it's going to stick, because that seasoning hasn't had that full polymerization to the pan yet. And so anyway, I would start out, like I said, with some bacon and some sausage, something to that effect, a protein that's going to have all that fat that's going to come out on the pan. And then if you want to throw in maybe some onions, some onions and potatoes, and do something along those lines. And I mean, I'm not telling you not to cook an egg in there, but if your first dish, I would keep it simple and do some bacon and sausage, and just after that. So here are some things that you want to do after you're done cooking. First thing you don't want to do is, you can see this clip right here, is this is when you leave your pan out, and especially if you're cooking with something acidic, I would avoid cooking anything with like tomato sauce, tomato paste, anything acidic in nature, especially in the beginning, because you don't want to break that seasoning down. You want that pan to have that seasoning developed over time, to the point to where you could put that in there like I did in this clip. But the thing is that if you leave it out overnight, it's just that elbow grease, like I was telling you when you're first cleaning that cast iron in the beginning. You're just going to make life harder on yourself in the end, because it's going to start to bond to the side of that pan, and it's going to be a lot of work cleaning it up. So I would avoid things like that. And so when you're the first thing you want to do after you're done cooking your meal is you want to let that pan cool off. That's my preference. I mean, it sounds a little odd to let it cool off, then heat it up, you know, that kind of thing. But I've learned that this, to me, is a better experience for me. And so after you let the pan cool down a little bit, first thing you want to do is get all those crusties out of there. And I would use wood utensils. Personally, that's what I recommend. Any type of utensil. I wouldn't use a metal spatula unless you absolutely have to. I mean, you might need a metal spatula, you know, if you're doing eggs to get a good flip on there. But I try to find maybe a plastic, you know, spatula instead. That way, it's just better for the pan because I don't want to scratch it. I don't want to dig into that seasoning. But if it's just a little light egg and you have a metal spatula, that'll be fine. So, but I would, anything else that you're going to be doing stirring, like for potatoes or for onions, definitely would use a wood utensil. I would avoid metal at all costs and cast iron. And so, and then after you're doing your basic dishes, like I said, you know, you can do cornbread. There are just so many things that you can do in cast iron. You could do a full skillet cookie. You know, you could take your cookie dough and just put it in there and bake it. So you can do baking and you can do sauteing. Now, one thing I will tell you is I did notice one time, my daughter and I used to make these pancake cakes, you know, out of pancake batter and cast iron. And maybe I'll do a video on that in the future. But so I noticed that after I did that, I did that for 2 weekends in a row, and I didn't cook anything else in it. Well, that third time I went to cook some like potatoes, I noticed it kind of had a sweet taste, and that was from that cake. It bonded to the flavors, bonded to that seasoning, and so you'll notice that. So what I would do if I were you is, if you plan on doing baking and you know, like a sweet type of bake rather than cornbread, something like that, is I maybe would have a separate pan that I would use just for that. Just that way it can enhance the sweetness of the flavors, so that way it doesn't taste like sausage or something weird. So either way, after, you know, so those are just some basic things that you can cook on cast iron and to get you started. So, but after, you know, like I said, after you're done cooking, you just want to wipe it down, get all the crusties out. And I like to use kosher salt to get any remaining sticky goo in there. It's just, it's a light abrasive scrub that you can do to get everything out. And so after you do that, again, you want to look for it. You can fill the pan. You want it to feel smooth to the touch. You don't want any raised, dried crust in there. And then after all that, you're going to make sure that you dry it off very well. And I'll go ahead and turn your burner on after you dry it off as best you can. You might have a few little water droplets on there, and that's fine. So then when you're done cooking everything, you're done getting all the crusties out and it's dry, you put it back on that burner, and then that's when you're going to get some of your oil. And again, canola oil, vegetable oil. Some people use Crisco. I'm not a fan of the Crisco in the can. That's just me. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I like canola oil. It seems to be a good balance for smoke point and things of that nature. So anyway, so we're going to apply a little bit of oil to the pan, and then we're going to rub it in. And I'm really bad about doing the back, so I would encourage you to try to get in the habit of doing the back first, the bottom first. You know, get that oil on there before it gets too hot so it can soak in there. And ideally, I mean, maybe if you started out, you could put this like that on the burner. You know, that way, you know, you're getting the bottom to where it's drying a little bit. And so then after that oil has been fully coated in there, you can use a paper towel, or if you have a certain dedicated rag you want to use, that's fine. So then after you do that, you want to let everything kind of stick there for a little while or dry. And then when you're done with all that, you're going to take your paper towel or your towel. You want to make sure it's dry. You want to get all that excess oil off there, because you don't want that to be a nightmare. So if you leave too much oil in there, that's whenever I talked about, you know, if it gets sticky, that's when you might want to rethink about re-seasoning and start over. So I don't want to do all that, so I'm going to take care of it ahead of time, and I would encourage you to do the same thing. So after all that's done, when you store it, okay, here's something that's very crucial. You don't want to stack these pans like this at all. You don't want to stack them on top of each other. you want something in between it. It needs to be in a dry space. And you know, so you want to figure out how you can stack these without stacking them on top of each other, because you want air, you want it to be able to breathe. Because one thing about this pan right here, or this Dutch oven, is whenever you store something like a Dutch oven, you want a gap. I mean, you want that air to be able to move out of that. You don't want air to be able to stay trapped in there. In fact, when I first got this pan, I had to use a hammer, and you know, the hammer side, just to get the lid off. So this is an example of you want to store it right. So anyway, I thank you for watching all these courses. I hope you've learned something, and based on your feedback, I mean, maybe we can do a deeper dive, maybe answer some of your questions and do a follow-up course to where we can, you know, maybe just we can help anyone that's new, that's starting out. Maybe, like I said, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. And I really appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you learned something. And again, this is Heath Haley from East Texas Duct Tape, and I thank you for watching.